Hey, good morning, everybody. Did this a little earlier than usual, but that's okay. I'm an early morning person, so that actually works out a lot better for me. And I see it works out for a lot of you guys too. But anyway, hi, Aggie. Hey, Ladybug. Hey, Maddie. Red Banyan, PR firm accountant. Kat and I were just laughing about that. Hey, Squishy, Monarch, Leanne from Australia, huh? Awesome. All right. We got some new people. That's awesome. So we're going to let a few more people get in here as they get their notifications, get signed in, get settled, get their coffee or whatever, and then we'll get started because Don was at it again, guys. Don was at it again. Did you see all this, Kat?
Oh, all that he posted last night? Absolutely. Oh, my goodness. It's just getting to be too much. Too much. So I have a personal message for Dawn. Because, see, I'm going to send this to Dawn's inbox when we're done, the link. Dawn, shut up. Shut up. All you're doing is contradicting yourself. You do realize that everything you say to Voices Behind the Wall, Mrs. and Mr. Share, their channel, can be used against you. They can be subpoenaed. You're telling inconsistencies. And I'm sure they're recording everything that was said. No one is really your friend here. They're not your friend. They were on another channel last night, spewing their mouths. They're not experts. You need to stop. Just stop. You're incriminating yourself more. Nobody would have anything to talk about if you just shut up. Blast away about Summer. Blast away. At no time has Mrs. Share posted her background or anything about Summer. She's not helping you with Summer. She's not going to get you a free attorney. She's not. She's a poor person that can't pay her own bills. Come on. You need to stop. Just stop. Benny Keys is not your friend. He's not your friend. He didn't even send you pizza, damn it. At least with Monica Sherrod, he sent her pizza. You know, a little 5-year-old was taken out of her home and killed and left in the street. And Benny friended her. Come on, Dawn, these people aren't your friends. Stop talking. Stop talking to everyone. Make it about Summer. If you can't go in front of a screen and make it completely about Summer, shut up. Why don't you go hug your wife? Why don't you show her some affection in a crowd? Their prayer vigils are getting nowhere. No one's showing up. No one believes you. The more you speak, the less people show up, the less support you have. It's not working the way you think. You think you're getting more support? You're not. Just look at the prayer vigils. No one's there, Dawn. No one. Your wife has to stand halfway across the park, not even beside you. Stop, Dawn. Stop. You've done something. At the least, you've done something to harm Summer at some point or another. Whether you actually did this or not. Your own words have told us that. As Chris's interview and the analysis showed, you've done something. You've done something that wasn't right to your little girl. So just stop. Ran over on that subject.
That's okay. Or we could even try this. Hey, Don, keep talking. Keep talking. Because TBI and Sheriff Lawson are having a field day. And somewhere in all your stories, they are going to pull the truth out.
Well, let's go into this one right here. The one that I told you about the other night when I was, oh, God. I text her at like 11 o'clock at night and was like, oh, my God, we need to go live now. Okay, Dawn, you said TBI took the phones and you didn't have them for quite a while. Now, all of a sudden, you told Mrs. Share that they took them that day but handed them back when they left. So what is it? Did the TBI actually take your phones and clear the data like you said from 3:30 that day? Or did they just take them 5 minutes on the property? Which is it?
Yeah, because we have too many inconsistencies. That they took the phones, they gave them back, and they were wiped clean. Then there was a story that they still had the phones. And I don't exactly remember when he said that. And correct me if I'm wrong, Kat, did he not say Candace paid $1,000 for new phones?
Stories changed that was just Candace that got a new phone because she couldn't call 911. I don't care if you had a dead, deactivated phone sitting in your drawer from 10 years ago. It will call 911. All phones call 911, whether you have signal or not. Plain and simple. Candace didn't need to buy a new phone. But, it's funny she couldn't call 911, yet she could be with Hunter all night and FaceTiming him with the cops there. Supposedly, she was on Messenger with Dawn the whole way home. But then again, he says, no, wasn't on the phone. Yes, was on the phone. Cops were there. Cops wasn't there. But then he drove past the cops and because he knew they were up at the hill. And then, oh my God, to just set and to even try to get the inconsistencies and write them down would be like I don't know, a month job. It just, I don't even know. I would like to try to do it, but I don't think I have the damn patience.
Well, and I don't know if you caught this in the interview or not, but he's kind of alluding to the fact he's saying that Chris made him look bad. Chris made them look bad. Chris didn't set up like some movie set or anything like that. He went to their house. He went to the swimming hole. He's talking to Donald on the phone. He was talking face to face with Candace. He's not telling them what to say. I think if they told him there was something they didn't want to answer, talk about, him see or whatever, he would have respected that. This throwing all of this at Chris like he's the bad guy is ridiculous. Like I said, this is not some movie set they set up.
What made Don look bad is his own words. Nobody has to make Don look bad. Don, you're so inconsistent. That's what makes you look bad. You lie and you tell this and this and this, and it doesn't add up. Your background is public record. No one exposed that. You were the one that told Dawn and admitted to the XA to your sister. That's pretty sick. And it started in when she was what, 5? How old is Summer? Yeah.
But I think that's when, I don't know where this came from. I don't want to say for sure because I don't know if what I was told is the truth. I've been told wrong before. But Chris put something out about victimology. The relative that Dawn admits to having a sexual relationship with compared to Summer's age. And here, I'm going to put it up real quick. Hang on. Had to find it on my screen. If I could get everything to cooperate, I would. So he says, I have Don on tape admitting he did it, and this is why he lost it on me. He knows that I know. His victimology is Summer's age. He told me she sleeps with me every night for the past 5 years. He said, go back and listen to his public statements. Did you gather all that, Kat?
I did, and that's what I was just saying. Yeah, it fits. And the things that he says is complete grooming. Everyone caught it. Dawn has done nothing but groom Summer. To be fact, my girl, nobody loved me like her. She would, just everything he says, it throws red flags everywhere. Everywhere. There's no rhyme or reason to anything he says. And it's the most unbelievable BS I've ever heard. Now, I'm going to go back on something else because I don't think I finished my rant. Dawn, these people that are contacting your family, you're giving permission for Cher to contact your son, your daughter, all these people When's the last time? Have those people even ever met Summer? Has your daughter, your oldest daughter, Marge or Pam, I can't remember her name, has she even ever met Summer? How can these people tell what kind of parent you were when they've never seen you with her? You need to stop. That's just, you're allowing her to harass your family. She's no expert. She's an expert in crime. How many felonies? And see, she doesn't like law enforcement either. You know what? Most felons don't like law enforcement. Most people that don't do the straight and narrow are weary of law enforcement, just like you, just like Miss Cher. It's insane what you're doing, Dawn. It's insane. Where is Summer? Where's Summer? Can you just tell us that? That's all we want to know. You can write it or type it up and just mail it to the police department. You don't have to sign your name. There's ways to do it without. Just let somebody know where she is so she can be brought home. So we as the community can provide her with a proper burial.
Well, and let's look at the difference in the two interviews. Now, the shares, I'm going to call them that, said people don't like it when they call what they do an interview. Well, you're just really letting Dawn talk, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, let Dawn talk, whatever. Chris guided the interview and he asked things that go directly back to Summer's disappearance. And he said several times, I just want to get Summer. I just want to find your daughter. You know, this is about, you know, Summer being missing. Exactly, Maggie. Bring Summer Wells home. But then in the interview with the shares, everything is about how this has affected Dawn, how people are treating Dawn, social media on Dawn, how Chris is after Dawn. It's Dawn.
It's always been about Dawn. This is the Dawn show. This has never been about Summer. You know, if Dawn would just get his finger out of his ass, that's the only way we're going to portray him different. If he goes out there and he rallies for his daughter. These prayer vigils, these are not prayer vigils. I don't know what they are. They're preaching sermons. A prayer vigil is about Summer. Even their prayer vigils aren't about Summer. Nothing associated with these people is about Summer. And it has nothing to do with intelligence. It's not that hard to have a picture of Summer sitting in the park or one of the banners and some candles and talk about Summer. The news doesn't even go to the prayer vigils anymore. Because, and please do not play a clip because I cannot do another Lord Jesus God. Please, let's do not do a clip.
That was too much, girl. I had to turn it off. Read this comment real quick. This is so true. Dawn, the creators who seem to all be on your side are only doing it for content and to be standouts. Trust me, they'll turn on you when this all breaks loose. And just wait for that spin, Allie. Just wait. Let's just say that Dawn is responsible. Dawn, you know, knows what's going on. Let's just say, how are you going to spin that? How? When you've given him this platform to talk about how terribly he's been treated.
Absolutely. I mean, that's all it is. And they're going to bigger shows to push their narrative. That's all they're doing. And all I heard was, oh, Chris isn't an expert, you know, his expired credentials. Police officers, what? He's retired. That's it. Cher, what credentials do you have? Oh, I know what your credentials are. 3 or 4 cases of animal torture, violating restraining orders, harassment. Those are your credentials. So you're right there with Dawn. Let's see if we can get Dawn to join us. I'm gonna, because he always, you know, reads his messages. So let's just see here. Join.
Well, and then I see this. Well, I didn't see this. I heard this. He said he's trying to get Dave back. Now, he was complaining about Dave, but then he kind of does this. He might have been confused, didn't really realize who he was. But see, he tried that game with Chris too, because he called Chris on the phone and he wanted to apologize. Wasn't really sure what was going on. Now he's doing that with Dave. He said he had him confused with someone else. And like I said, it sounds like when he was confused about Chris, he's kind of said something about some new evidence, but now he was up the church, things were cutting in and out. But then he says that they have absolutely no clues. They know nothing. And I'm like, but they're not telling you that, Dawn. I guarantee they're putting this together. There's no way. Of course they are. Of course they know something.
Well, he keeps saying the police aren't telling us anything. Why aren't you contacting the police, Dawn? Like Candace said one time, I haven't heard from the police in a week or two. You have to contact them. If you want your daughter found, you should be calling them every day. You should be at that police department. You should be doing something, Dawn. Candace, you don't work. Go to the police department. Let me tell you what. When my son, who is 28 years old, me and his father were not married. And I left him at my mom's for a little bit. I had to go run errands. And he wasn't a nice person. And me and this person, his father, were not together. And like I said, drugs and everything else on his end. Not a nice person. He come and took my son while I wasn't there. So I went straight to the sheriff's department. And, I called the sheriff out and they said, really nothing we can do. Y'all don't have a custody order. And I'm like, wait a minute. I've been raising him, he's like 15 months old at this point. And I'm like, and he's like, well, that's the way the law states. Neither one of you have custody just because you're the mother on the birth certificate. Anyway, I sat at that sheriff's department waiting for a judge to get there. I was there for 30 something hours, sitting there waiting. And when a judge come in, because they would do hearings, the judge would come in. It was on the weekend. It was a Friday when it happened. On Sunday, a judge come in to do like bond hearings for everyone. And I went straight to that judge, Judge Martin, love him to death. And I said, Judge, this is what's going on. And he says, oh, this can't wait till Monday. He wrote out an order right then for the sheriff to go pick up my son. But see, that's what you do. You wait. You do what you have to do. I didn't sleep that time. I couldn't sleep. So a maniac had my son. And that's what you do. Candace, Dawn, y'all doing any of that? What are you doing to get your lives in order to get your other kids back? You're doing nothing. Dawn, you run to the church to do your videos? That's crazy. And then a TBI tip comes in and you video call it with Cher so she can hear it. What is wrong with you?
I cannot believe that. He shouldn't share any information that's shared with him. He could with Chris. Chris would be a very good ally and he could, really guide him through this. So we had a comment a minute ago and I put it up and it said, just yesterday, the police said everybody is a suspect. So I'm going to play a clip real quick. Did you see this from Sheriff Ronnie Lawson?
I did. And, that's the thing. Cher went on and said, they're not suspects. They're not. No, you need to get up with the program. Ronnie released this yesterday, just yesterday. Everyone is still a suspect or a POI. Did you hear it, Cher?
We are still, as we speak, looking into information we're receiving from TBI, information we're receiving from credible witnesses, and we're still being very active. It's ongoing, still very intense, and not cold at all. We are still being interfered with social media, and we're getting calls from office. I'm sure TBI is getting emails with people just concerned about things going on in social media and not true facts. And it's plain and simple, but if they don't hear from me or the TBI, it's not true.
Exactly, Maggie. Cher has minimal followers. And she really had no one until she did the Juanita piece. But we were already over. There's a private group, and we were already all over Juanita. We actually sent her some of our information for her live. So, whatever. And Dawn, say hello. I know you're here. I seen where you read my messages.
Well, I mean, we just heard it from the sheriff himself. He's back on social media. They're getting emails from people, tying up their time, talking about social media. He's got to be extremely frustrated. If someone knows something, they'd be more than happy to talk to him. I guarantee, not that I know any of them, but I have a feeling. But I cannot believe, it happened in the Evelyn Ballswell case. I'm sure it happens in every case. But, he's like, the social media is too much. It's just too much. So I was going to ask you, did you catch it when Dawn was talking about how Summer would come running down the hill every night to get candy from him to his truck? But then actually in the very beginning, he knew she was abducted because he said she would never come off that hill.
Agreed. Now, something else he said there too. He said, Candace come up in the truck, and Candace pulled up, and I run out to the truck thinking I was going to grab Summer and realized I wasn't. So, Dawn, what truck are you referring to that Candace would be driving? Because she normally drove her mom's truck, and mom's not there. Grandma's not there. So she takes your work truck to go somewhere? But you said truck. Candace pulled up. I run out to the truck to grab Summer and realized I don't have Summer anymore. Summer's gone. What truck was Candace driving? Because, see, Candace has a car, not a truck. Or I'm assuming you say it's Candace's car. She posted in a very sour face that she wanted white, not red, when you brought her the car. Dawn, if you work so much, what do you do with your money? Where does your money go? It absolutely doesn't go into your home. And how dare you accept money from people? You don't want somebody to come in your home, a professional, to come into your home and redo your home for you, which I think is stupid anyway. Anybody that wastes a dime on you is an idiot. But you want to allow that. But Cher, push that cash up. They just want you to send money. Just send cash. Just send cash. Look, you are getting an extra $1,200, $1,500 a month on the 15th of each month from the child tax credit. What about all the stimulus money you got? Where did all that go? There's no way you should be hurting for money.
That could have been a down payment on the Subaru or anything. I don't know. I don't think that they're motivated. I just don't think it's how they live to fix up the house, clean up the house, or anything like that. Out of everything, that's the one thing that he never brings up is the condition of their home. It's like, to them, it's perfectly normal. If you see the pictures of inside Grandma's camper, it's the exact same way. It's stuff piled from floor to ceiling. I don't get it. I can't stand clutter. I can't stand it. I can't stand half-done projects. Stuff like that drives me out of my mind. Some people, they can live in a house under construction till the day they die. They can have 200 rolls of toilet paper stuff, stacked up in their dining room, and they call it storage. I will never understand it. But I did catch where he said it took him 30 minutes to get home. Now, I think he said they were already searching. I don't know if he means the family, neighbors, the police, but he said the boys were at the creek. This is the first I'm hearing of the boys being down at the creek.
But remember, none of the kids will go off the property.
Exactly.
It doesn't make any sense. And in the home, I live on a fixed income. You know what I'm doing to my house. There's no excuse for having plywood floors. You can go to a remnant store. You can go anywhere. You could throw a rug down on that floor. You can throw a piece of carpet down, Dawn. Come on. If you work so much, I'm always working. I don't know what Summer eats. Summer's diet consisted of pop, of soda, and candy, and French fries. Woohoo. You know what my son asks for when we go somewhere? Mom, can we go to a salad bar? My son's favorite foods have always been from day one. Carrots, watermelon, salad. My son loves salad. Spinach, beans. My son is a vegetable eater. He loves it. That's what normal people do when they don't introduce all the junk to their kids. If you're working all the time, where's the money? If you make as much money, or where is it going, Dawn? Where's the money going?
Well, he'll throw Candace under the bus for that. If anybody ever really, let's just say that the police want to go through their finances for the last 6 months. I mean, I doubt they write a check to anyone that they would get pot or anything from. But I mean, he mentioned on one of the shows that when they tested them, that she tested positive for marijuana. So there's part of it,
Yeah, it doesn't take that much. It doesn't. If you're working daylight till dark, it doesn't take that much to be a good parent, to buy your kids clothes. I've never seen them in decent clothes, shoes that fit, but you want a $600 car payment that your whole family can't fit into. That made no sense. No sense what.
The shoes not fitting, there's no excuse for that at all. There's none. There is absolutely no excuse for that. That made me sick. And this wasn't like her playing in her mom's shoes around the house. They took her out in public like that with shoes she couldn't even walk in. That's disgusting.
Don throws Candace under the bus and everything he says subtly. He does it. Well, Candace. He does everything to throw her under the bus. And he just doesn't blatantly come out and do it. But he hints around at it. It would be Candace's fault. Everything. Let's look at Shannon. I think the addiction has gotten worse. That's when we see the decline of the home and the kids in the picture.
I agree.
There is something that happened to make a decline here. If you can look at previous pictures and then to now, Summer lost a lot of weight. And I do, that is, a sign of SA. The decline. But look, pot, unless you're smoking it 24/7, isn't going to make you act like that. Something, I don't know. Maybe it was when Dawn cheated on her. I mean, you went and you told Chris that you cheated on your wife. And then you leave your family and go to Utah. Candace kicked your ass out. That's what happened. And then she tried to make you jealous so you would come back? Okay. Jealous of what? Jealous of what? Because you're not.
I just can't really see, these two even play in that game with each other, okay? Every time he says stuff like that, I'm not laughing, but I'm like, come on, you two. Nobody would really consider each of them the catch of the county, and they make it sound like they have just got all of these people around that want to be with them and stuff like that. It's just crazy. But if you look from when the charges were filed last October up to when Summer went missing, a lot of stuff has gone on at that house.
Absolutely. I believe. Can you go up to Shannon's and highlight that? I do believe the car was a bribe. I do believe it, 100%. And what's the deal with the one kid? Like Melissa said, it's always Don has one child with him. There's always one missing from the picture. Always one. Don always has to have that one child with him. Why? Look, if you're leaving me or I'm kicking you out, my kids ain't going. All my kids are staying with me. I'm not letting you take one. Why? So that one could help him work? Wasn't he the oldest? It's not a kid's place to work. Dawn, you set your daughter on a board naked, completely naked, in front of people at a job site. Are you kidding me?
Well, and let's think about this. Candace does not work outside the home. I don't think she works inside the home. She doesn't bring home any money, which doesn't, being the stay-at-home parent is a job. So I'm not throwing any shade at that. while he was in Utah sorting out his oats with his one child, how was Candace supporting herself? And the other children buying food, making that car payment. How was she doing that?
She didn't have the car till he got back. But I would assume the home is paid for. You know, mom gets a check. Mom's got to pay the light bill if she wants lights out at her camper.
Mm.
You know they were getting assistance from food stamps or whatever. Don might have been throwing her some money here and there. Yeah, and she was getting the stimulus checks. Let's look at it. Don left in what, October? How many stimulus checks come through?
Well, that could be it.
So, like, didn't Candace and Allie, did they work together? Seems like something was said about Candace working with someone. I don't know. But I mean, how could you afford daycare for all three unless grandma was there?
Well, you couldn't. But when he was talking on his part 2 interview with the Shares also, he talked about the dogs again, and we changed our stories about the dogs again. He said the dogs were never around that day. I just thought that was such a weird statement. They were never around that day? How could you say that? You weren't home. How do you know where the dogs were? Now he says he doesn't know about the dogs. He noticed later one or two filtered back in. He had to put all the dogs in the Suburban so the bloodhounds could search. And I'm just like, what? He said the dogs were not there that day. So already we are changing our story.
If you don't want to follow us, that's fine. Mostly gossiping. That's what everyone's doing. We don't know real facts. We know what's come out of Dawn's mouth. So you know where the door is if that's the case. We're not gossiping. We're talking about what Dawn has said. Plain and simple.
These are his words.
Yeah. What did you just say so I can respond to it? I got so distracted.
About the dogs. He was saying that the next day he had to put the dogs in the Subaru, or not the Subaru. I think he said a Suburban, actually. So the bloodhounds could, sniff around. He said that the dogs weren't there at all that day. Now he's kind of like, well, I saw one or two filter back up. And I was like, so what's the story? I mean, you weren't there all day. You were like 100% that the dogs were not around that day. Then you admit to a couple of them being there when you get home. And then you had to take the whole pack of them the next day and put them into the back of a truck so that other dogs could sniff around.
Okay. I want to address a few things in chat over here. We're not being judgmental. Don't care if they live dirty and cluttery. That's not the issue. The issue is when a child walks across a floor that is plywood and gets splinters in them because there's no flooring on the floor. The hazards from extension cords everywhere. I don't care about the clutter part of it. Don't care about the clutter in their home. But if you can't have flooring and you can't have proper electrical, that's not a home and it's not safe. Okay. Now the Suburban. Okay. He did mention the Suburban another time too. So from what I get, they have a Suburban, they have Dawn's truck, and they have the Subaru. What was the point of buying the Subaru then if they had a Suburban that everyone could fit in? Why the new vehicle that he can't afford?
Yeah, Evan, I clarified that. I apologize. Yeah, they had to put the dogs up the next day. What I'm talking about is the fact that we have a story from Dawn, and you guys can, people can, I don't say you guys, people can say whatever they want. Oh, this is gossip. We're going off of what Dawn said. We're not guessing. We're not saying we think. This is what he said. He said the dogs were nowhere around that day. The day that Chris was there, he said there was dogs everywhere. He was even explaining how they got into packs. There was like 7 under the house, according to Candace. That day, no dogs. But then Don corrects himself and says 1 or 2 filtered back in, and then goes into how, the next day, how they had to put them all up for the bloodhounds. And, people are talking about the dogs because when a stranger comes on your property, because he says she's been abducted, the dogs would have a problem. They would make a lot of noise.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then you complain. This is what I don't get. While they're searching for your child, that you couldn't sleep because of the helicopters. And you don't want her found. Why? Why are you complaining that law enforcement is doing their job? Why are you complaining? I wouldn't care. Okay, you're worried they took your damn TV? You're not worried that somebody took your child. My child is more important than a damn TV. I got 4 of them in my house right now. Somebody wants them, come get them. You touch my child and God help you. That's just the way it is. Sick. Just sick.
But then I guess one of the neighbors spoke to, I guess, this channel, I don't know, and said that those dogs are always around. That, kind of alluded to that they are a nuisance. They piss on their tires and everything like that. So for the dogs to have been totally gone on the 15th, but here you have neighbors saying, no, those dogs are always around. Yeah, when stories like that keep changing, it really makes my stomach hurt because, again, we're talking about a missing little girl.
Angela, I'm going to address this with you one more time, and then the mods can step in. I'm asking where the money is because Don, that's all he says. I was at work. Candace says he's a good provider. He's a good provider. He's always at work. He does whatever. Look, if Don is working 10, 12 hours a day, 5, 6 days a week, like he claims, sometimes 7, there would be flooring on the floor. And it's not that my son eats salads that makes me a better parent. My son has candy too. Guess what? Not every day. Big difference. When your child has, the day they're gone with Candace, what did Summer eat all day? A damn slushie and a pack of Skittles. Great parenting there. That's great. No, you actually cook and provide food for your child. I don't cook. I still order DoorDash. Did last night. We had Chili's last night because I didn't feel like cooking.
Yeah, we all have those nights. But, all day, especially after swimming, they use a lot of energy swimming. You're at Sonic, you get a slushie and Skittles. Get her a corn dog or something. Get her something so she's got something of substance in her body, even though Sonic is junk food. No, I didn't understand that either. And, of course, mothers are going to say, you were at Sonic and just got her a slushie? Yeah, maybe she had a huge breakfast, Nicole. I mean, I don't know. You could be right. So then Don goes back to, he said, sometimes we have to give up life to keep the commandments. He kept referring to these kids, and Revelations. And he went back to how he'll see her in the resurrection. That gives me the weirdest vibes when he goes off on those rants.
Yeah, and he said he was starting to follow the commandments, starting to live by the commandments, starting to follow and get into the commandments. Oh, okay. So let's go over the commandments. I think I know all 10. I'm not sure. I don't know. I just know to do right in life. Okay. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not lie. False gods. Adultery. What are the rest? Somebody help me here.
Well, no, I know what you're saying, but the fact that he keeps running back to this. But when he said that we have to give up our life to keep the commandments, I'm like, what is he alluding to now? And it could be nothing, but it's just more weirdness. It's more weirdness. And every time he says he'll see her in the resurrection, okay, so we've talked about it several times. Okay, they live in the country. Summer's missing. Most parents, all right, I understand everyone's different, okay? The first thing you're going to think is she got lost in the woods. She fell down and got hurt. God forbid an animal got hurt. His first reaction was, she's gone. She's been abducted. A few weeks later, we'll never see her again. There was no hope in his voice from I shouldn't say day one, because he didn't start jumping on social media for a couple of days. He had no hope. There was no missing flyers all over town. There was nothing plastered all over the internet, all over Facebook, find my daughter. My daughter went missing on June 15th. It's like he knew. He wrapped his mind around something that no parent would want. Parents that lose children, nobody wants to lose a child. I mean, it would be the most, I couldn't imagine. But he instantly said, she's gone, abducted, would never come off that hill, etc. I mean, he even said about the searching, he felt some of the searching was a waste of time because he said she'd been abducted. And then we started hearing the stories about Mexico and all kinds of stuff. And here we are talking about the resurrection again.
I don't care how God-fearing you are. God, I don't want to say admit. God is something we don't see every day. Yes, we go to church and we read the Bible and we have God in our lives daily, and we should try to live a certain way. But when your child is missing, you don't just say, it'll be fine because I'll see her in the end. No, it's not okay. It's not okay just because we know we get to see our loved ones in the end. It doesn't make it okay that your child's not there every day. But he's okay with it. How are you okay with it? I'd be yelling at God and cussing him every day if my child was gone. After I begged and begged and begged, God, just bring her home. God, bring her home. What do I need to do for you to bring her home? And then I'd get mad at God. God, why aren't you listening to me? Where is my child? Bring my child home. I mean, wouldn't everybody else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he did say that he has apologized. I don't want to bring up the relationship because I think this woman's she probably gets bothered a lot. He said he apologized to the family member. He apologized on the show. He said he called her to apologize. The way he said it, the way it was so nonchalant, the way that the people that were hosting the show didn't even flinch when he said it, seriously gave me the creeps. How do you pick up the phone and say, like, hey, sorry about that? And again, it was like it wasn't a big deal.
I mean, you guys think of the word sorry. I had this with my son one day. We've always been taught to say sorry if we do something wrong, but sorry is just a word. Realistically, it's just a word. And I mean, if you bump into someone, sorry, it's the polite thing to do. But really, does that change the fact you bumped into them? It's just a word. It's just a word. That's all it is. Saying sorry to someone you hurt like you did, Dawn, that is just despicable. You need to do more. You need to go turn yourself into the cops and tell them what you did. If you're really sorry, because see, that's what a Christian would do. I had a cousin who had lived a life like Dawn pretty much. When he became a Christian, I remember him telling me this, and I haven't seen him in 10, 15 years, but when he became a Christian, he went and found a man. He had stole the man's boat 5 or 6 years before that, before he became a Christian. And he went to that man and he asked him, he said, sir, I'm the one, I stole your boat, and the man, okay. And he said, I found God and I need to repent for my sins. And he said, and, my cousin said, if you need to take me to jail, go ahead. I'm all for it. What I did was wrong. I'm willing to pay for my sins. I'm willing to pay you back for the boat, whatever. That's how you make amends. And see, that man said to my cousin, he said, I don't need anything else from you. You found God and you did the right thing. Keep living your life right. See, that's what you do, Dawn. You don't just say sorry. You go and you try to make it right, even if it means you go to jail. Because see, that's what being a Christian is. You don't just say sorry. You follow through. You follow through and you make amends. Saying sorry doesn't get you to heaven. You need to make amends for what you did.
Yeah, and saying sorry on their show, it was just weird and creepy. But I want to read this comment by Nicole. She said, I understand Dawn's part here. My grandkids are all different. If my granddaughter went missing, I would say 100% she did not walk off because she just wouldn't. And I would tell the police that. You know what? I totally agree with that because you know your children. You know their behaviors. You know their routines. You know what they feel safe to do and not safe to do. I would do the same thing. I would say, no way, my son would never leave this yard. Nope, would never happen. But that would be my story from day one. That would be my story, which I guess it has been his story from day one, except now he's saying that she would run down the hill to get candy. Maybe he just means just to him, but she only did it because he was down there. So I totally understand that. And I'd be the same way. I'd be like, look, you can search all you want, but my son would never leave the yard. Or like he said, she would never leave the hill. So that's a really good point, Nicole.
I do agree with that. I do agree. You know if your child's gone. But in that wooded area, police have protocols they have to follow. Okay, yes, she wasn't up there at the house. Didn't mean a bear didn't get her or a mountain lion or drug her off in the woods. There's a protocol that has to be followed. And I'm sure there were perimeters set up. I'm sure all the searching wasn't up at the wells. Just because Don didn't see what was going on in the outer workings, he was at his home. He seen what was going on there. I'm sure they probably a 5-mile perimeter around the home, and we're watching for suspicious vehicles coming through, such as that. I'm sure everything wasn't focused at the house, but the police have protocols they have to do. She could have very well been dragged off by some animal down into the woods. So Don getting mad because they searched in the woods around his home, it's just crazy. Because yes, somebody could have took her. Okay, yeah, you think your child's not here, but it also could have been an accident or something else, and she fell down a hill, whatever. They didn't search those 11 acres before the cops got there. I promise you that. And why would the boys go down to the lake, the creek, whatever it is? Why there? I mean, you need to, if it just happened, why would you span out so far when they were searching?
What I wondered about that is when they said she's missing, the boys could have run down to the creek thinking she went down there to get it was a hot day. Maybe she got in the creek. Maybe they were afraid she fell in. It actually made sense for me that the boys would be down there looking for their sister. Because, she could have very easily drowned. But those are things that make sense. But he immediately said abducted. She's been abducted. That's it. No drowning, no accident. He even talked about there wasn't an accident. Couldn't have been an accident. Yep, Julia, he says he wants EquiSearch back now to check the property. Yeah, why now? Especially when he ran Dave off. But now he said he's confused about who he was. Did you catch all that, Kat?
I did. I agree with Pink Barbie doll. That was going to be my next comment. What she was saying. Why would you go down to the creek if Summer never left the property? But now, with EquiSearch, here's the thing. They didn't even thank them. They didn't even go to the command post for EquiSearch. They didn't, say, and Don's confused. I didn't know who they were, just like the gag order. I didn't know. But you know enough to be on YouTube and every place else. You can't play dumb, Don. Come on. Stop playing dumb. You're not that dumb. You're not. You can't be. It's just not possible. EquiSearch, I do agree that the Wells property needs to be searched again. The problem with that is, even if she was there, she's probably not anymore. The shed. How many times did he see shed in that?
I don't get the fascination with the shed. He's really offended that anybody would think he was hiding in the shed when Candace was doing her interview with Chris. But it seems to be a real fixation. The shed is brought up more than, I wish they'd talk about the red barrel more because that freaked more people out. And Francine says, why wouldn't you think abduction too if you've looked all along your property? Yeah, if you trust your wife and your wife is like, look, we've looked everywhere and she's gone. And he says she never leaves the hill. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll give you that. I just think for most parents, you don't have an absolute in your mind that she is gone, never coming back. Like you're not that ready and willing to accept it. In my opinion, just my opinion, he kind of put finality on it from the beginning. Am I wrong, Kat? Or did you see that? Did you catch that vibe too?
Oh, absolutely. He knew from the very beginning. And it was like the next day he was saying, loved her. Everything was past tense. Your brain cannot go through that quick. My husband has been dead, 16, 17 months now? 16 months? 18 months. I still call him my husband. I mean, I had people doing work over here one day cutting the tree, and I said, my husband, your brain doesn't grasp it that quick. You don't, and you never want it to be final, even though in my case, I know it's final. See, he doesn't know, but I have the ashes right here to know mine was final. You just, it doesn't go that quick. You can't, your brain can't compute. I was with my daughter in the bed this morning and now she's completely gone. I mean, you're grief stricken. You can't talk or shouldn't be able to. I know people handle stress and loss different ways, but from day one, you know what I wish would really happen? That Candace would talk out more, because Candace's interview with Chris,
She did great.
She did really good. I'd really like to hear from Candace, because Candace was the one that was there firsthand and she knows. Because see, when Dawn's asked about what did Summer eat that day, I don't know. Candace was with her. Candace, talk. Please talk. Get Dawn out of there. Get him out of the picture.
Oh, Nicole, we're not saying Don is guilty. We're talking about odd behaviors, and we're talking about his interviews, things he's been saying. We don't know. It could be a strange abduction. It could be somebody that lives. I mean, we don't know. Someone lives down the road. Who knows? It could still be an accident. I mean, it is the oddest case, and it's like a new character comes out once a week. It is the strangest case. And they do strange things, you have to admit. I mean, the day after she went missing, there wasn't anything like a missing flyer, anything like that. There was a picture of Summer in a play coffin at the Hatfield and McCoy restaurant that Candace put on social media, basically saying that they miss her, a few other things, some ramblings. And you have a missing child, and you take a picture of her in this pretend coffin from this restaurant. Now, I don't care who you are, your education, anything. You know that is poor taste, and you know that that's going to raise eyebrows. You know it.
Exactly. And less than 1% of abductions are non-family members. You're right. It just, everything from the beginning doesn't make sense. And we're not picking on people. We're saying what Dawn said. It doesn't line up. It doesn't. And the picture that was posted on the Amber Alert, she's in a red dress with shoulder-length hair. That's not who we were looking for. I think that's messed up from the beginning. Candace wanted it to portray like her sweet little pretty girl. You're looking for a little girl whose head was shaved, who could easily pass for a boy. I seen a picture of Summer the other day with her head shaved, and I swear to God, she looked just like one of her younger brothers. I mean, it looked like a boy. That you're not helping by putting that picture out, or the big bow covering half her head. We can't tell anything.
By the way, I'm going to put this link up real quick. If anybody wants to grab the link and come up and chat with us, that would be great. And also, if you guys would take a minute to give the video a thumbs up, thumbs down, either or. I really don't know how it works, how it helps or anything, but it's supposed to. Here, I'll post the link again. For some reason, my stuff's not working correctly today. Well, now, do you think he's going to continue speaking out, or do you think he's had enough?
He can't keep his mouth shut. He just can't. Guys, I have a doctor's appointment. I'm going to get off here in about 5 minutes. So if anyone else wants to come up, you can. Why can anyone explain the nails dirty? You know, I survey says most of the pictures of Summer, she was dirty. And, you know, if you've ever swam in a creek, you know, you dig down into the mud because it feels squishy through your fingers. The dirty fingers, I don't really get anything about that.
Francine just said, I think he's going to keep going, but he needs to shut up and get a lawyer at this point. Yeah, he's really not. He's talking to, now I don't mean the shares, and I don't think Chris is trying to set him up. I just do not believe that. I know I'm dying laughing. She said he needs to shut up. That's Francine's new phrase. Shut up. He's talking to trained detectives. Their job is to ask questions no one would even think of, and they piece everything together. So if he really either needs to get a lawyer, or I guess just keep talking, because eventually they're going to piece it together. So I'm going to put the link up again. If anybody wants to come up and chat. I know, Francine, I'm dying laughing. Like, I'm trying to keep it under control because I have a really annoying laugh. It's worse than my voice, but that's hilarious. I got to take that down. That's too much. So if nobody wants to grab the link and come up, then we're going to start winding this down.
I'm going to catch up on chat. Yeah, I don't understand. But truthfully, you guys look at it. Any attorney at this point that would think of taking the case on, they probably followed the case a little bit. They've probably seen the craziness in the stories, and they can't pin him down to anything. And, you know, it just changes so much. I don't think a lawyer's going to touch it pro bono because it just is too much. Cher was talking about he needed a criminal attorney. For what if he hasn't done anything wrong? He needs a PR firm. Oh, wait, I thought he got one of those with that We Can Bring You Hope. I thought they were his PR firm. Mm-hmm. What happened to that? What happened to the thing with Michelle Dawn? You know, you've got a Facebook page now, or a website. Robin has made them a website and for updates and things there. Why not?
And she's working hard on that website. She's updating it. She's spending a lot of time. That woman is such a sweetheart. And I think she has really taken this hard, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, she was really close. That's the only one, it seems like. Yeah, Cher is her manager now. Hi, Shannon.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good, good.
Someone had a question. Hang on. Nicole says, how has the story changed in your opinion? Oh boy, we would have to do a whole show, and I've actually thought about doing it, where we talk about the different stories, you know, like what we were told when the Amber Alert went out to how it changed.
Yes, I will start. I'll start making use of inconsistencies. Thank you, Wendy. I will. Guys, I'm fixing to get off here. I have a doctor's appointment in an hour. I need to go get ready.
Bye, Kat.
Bye, Kat. Shannon. Give me a call later.
I will.
I can't see the chat, so I don't know what anybody's saying. So y'all can start talking, and I'll just jump in.
Well, did you watch the interviews, Shannon? Did you
last night?
Yeah. Did you do any kind of comparison between where Chris was going with his show and where the other people were going with theirs? You know, just my opinion. Chris was all about Summer. He was right. circling it back around to Summer. He said over and over, I just want to find Summer. I just want to find Summer. And this is a phone conversation. By the way, Dawn called him and he apologized. But the other shows, it was 2 nights of what Dawn is going through. And it wasn't like Dawn going through an agonizing parent with a missing child. It was more of, I'm trying to find the words.
Like are you talking
about
Are you talking about the people that are, poor Dawn,
yeah, social media after him.
I don't everybody is entitled to their opinion. We're just brainstorming. Because this case is just something I don't think anybody's ever seen, especially parents talking and doing what they're doing, especially Dawn. And, I don't disrespect anybody who thinks, Dawn and Candace don't have anything to do with it, but I'm not going to troll anybody for it either.
No, all opinions are welcome. We can discuss, and be friends at the end of the day.
Right. And I'm not going to involve myself.
Our minds are blown that this little girl she's vanished. She's vanished. It's been almost 2 months. Not a sighting, nothing, not even a stitch of clothing anywhere, nothing.
Yeah, it's sad. I think everybody has a lot of passion because they're like, she's a little girl. And we all have more compassion, more tears than we've seen from mom and dad.
Oh, absolutely.
And I just, it's one thing, there's a group of true crime community, YouTube channels that like this one that I really like, and the camaraderie and stuff like that. And then, you have these other ones that are trying to involve themselves in the actual investigation, and probably their followers or their subs or whatever may be calling in. And that's where it gets dangerous because, law enforcement doesn't need to hear from all these YouTube people thinking they've solved the case. And that's what the difference is.
Yeah, no detectives. There's no detectives anywhere in this country sitting around going, man, I got to turn on YouTube tonight, or I hope I get into that Facebook group because I got to see what's going on so I can crack this case. Doesn't work that way.
Exactly. And I think that's what, I don't know, I heard somebody without saying their name, their channel, trying to say that, there's a difference between, discussing because we all want to find Summer and we're all trying to figure out everything, then let me grab one of the parents and do an interview, and they're talking about they could get subpoenaed.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. All right. So I'm going to start winding this down. I think we pretty much covered everything. We know that, Don will talk again. I mean, whether it be on Facebook or he'll talk to a YouTuber, don't you think?
Yeah. Oh, he loves the attention. And I think he's watching all the social media. And Chris made a good point. He said, watch Dawn adapt to every day with what's going on in social media. And he did that yesterday, and he posted something about it, something about Chris or something. And that's what he's doing. He's adapting to what's all being said.
Oh, he hit that nail on the head.
Yeah, he did.
That nail on the head big time.
Absolutely.
Because exactly what he said. He even said that after he talked to him, he said he'll speak out again, kind of alluded that it wouldn't be to him because he's going to have to fix this. He's going to have to fix it. And he knows with Chris isn't going to let him get away with things like, he's not going to let him change his story. And he's certainly not going to give him any sympathy for admitting to to a crime against a child. You
And
know, it's not. And I don't mean about Summer, I mean about his relative.
right. And it seems like the more and more Chris, every time he does it, you know, his live or another show, every time he goes on, it seems like he's given us like, yeah, we're on the right track kind of thing. Do you feel that?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And he said something, you know, it was kind of funny. He's like, I'm giving everybody homework. And he was like, you know, compare the timeline to the different and changing stories of Dawn. And I thought, oh my God, you'd have one of them cork boards with strings and little sticky notes everywhere. I don't think I could do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got to answer this comment real quick. I'm just me. You're exactly right, because some of the words that have been coming out of not just Dawn's, but Candace has said some pretty jaw-dropping things. Yeah, all of that, everything that you've said there, I'm just going to put the comment up. Everything that you're saying there, exactly. It gave me the creeps. It's pretty damn upsetting considering this little girl is missing, and the words that are being used are nuts. Can you see that comment, Shannon?
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's a good point, because who says bashed or smothered? That was another one, that smothered one. I was like, yeah, good point. I wouldn't say that to describe anything of my child.
No.
Yeah. And you know, that's all we're doing. We're looking at what these parents are saying, what they're not saying. That's a big one to me, is what wasn't said at the very beginning. Was what, you know, you think about somebody's first reaction, you know, Dawn saying, you know, Candace called saying Summer's missing, call 911. Well, why wouldn't it be, what do you mean she's missing? Well, did you look around the house? Did you do this? Did you do that? You know, it was automatically call 911. She's abducted. That's what it is to me, is a lot right there at the beginning.
Well, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. Like I said, they live out in the country. An abduction is slim to none. Slim to none. Finding their driveway, getting up the driveway, getting past the dogs, getting to the basement, getting her out, again with the dogs, getting out where mom, grandma, the boys, no one sees the abductor. That is nuts to me. The first thing I would think is she wandered off in the woods, got hurt, got lost, an animal got hurt, something like that. But this Mission Impossible kidnapping is all he will stick with.
Exactly. It's like, I don't get it. I don't understand that at all.
No updates or anything, nothing. Sheriff Lawson he just said everyone's a person of interest. No one is ruled out. And I guess he has to keep reminding them of that, because every time, you know, like I said, he just seems to have to keep reminding people of the same things. Again, the social media issues, you know, people calling in, emailing, things like that. And it's stuff that they're getting off of, it's their opinions and stuff that they're reading in these Facebook groups.
Yeah, and thinking they're Inspector Gadget. I would never do that.
I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, I would never do that. And that's the thing. These are the people that are saying, it's about Summer. Talk about Summer. That's all we want. That's all we want. And that's why we're talking about this. But inserting yourself, making them calls, flooding their lines when they're busy trying to figure it out is not for Summer.
Yeah, Savage, a lot of people have been saying that. They think it's going to be a cold case. For some reason, I don't think it will. I think it's going to be a lot simpler than what we think. Because, I mean, like right now, they're having hearings right now for Barry Morphew. You know, it took them a year to get him arrested for the murder of his wife. You know, sometimes it takes a very, very long time for them to put it together and get it right. I mean, I think we're going to find out what happened, because with the public pressure alone, I don't think that poor sheriff can sleep at night. He's got so much going on.
Yeah, and I have a family friend who's in law enforcement, and I kind of asked him about the records for, cell phones, iPads, all that stuff. And he said when you get a warrant for those things, usually it's right away. So that doesn't take much time. But he did say that especially if there's more than one carrier, and in this case, in their Verizon, AT&T, that takes time for all that information to come back. Once that information comes back, they have to go through hundreds and hundreds, sometimes thousands, text messages, pictures, cell phone pings. All that information takes a long time to go through. So you're talking several months just to get the stuff back, several months just to go through the stuff.
Yeah, they were talking about that in the Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell case. So when you're reading the arrest affidavit, how many months it took them to get back the warrants from Google, the pings from the cell phone, all of that. That stuff, all that stuff takes time. But see, they've had their phones. But now, I mean, he says that they have them back. Then I don't know. The phone thing is confusing to me. The dog thing is confusing to me. The unaccounted time is very confusing for me.
Yeah, the cell phone things, I'm going to lean towards Chris, because that's evidence, and usually they just take that. And then they got new phones. So that's what I think happened. And then what was that last part you just said? You said
unaccounted time. There's a portion of time that, unless I missed it, which is possible, no one's talking about. They can't. There's a gap there I'm seeing that no one is explaining.
Yes, thank you. I thought that too, because wasn't it around 2:30-ish? I could be wrong, that they left Allie's house. Let's just say that. Okay, let's say, and they got home around 3. Then you have 3 to, well, let's say even 2:30. 2:30 to the time that 911 was called. That's what, 2-3 hours at most? What happened during that time?
Well, and again, on the day that your child went missing, now I understand like PTSD and stuff like that. There's some people that probably couldn't even give them any information just from being so upset. But they've been talking the whole time.
Right.
You would know everything. This is what time we got back from swimming. This is what we were going to have for dinner. Then my mom wanted to plant flowers. So that was about, I'd say like 3 o'clock. But how many of them keep saying stuff like, I don't pay attention to time. I don't pay attention to time.
But sometimes we don't. But if you think back to anything that's happened in your life, especially if it was a tragedy, you can go back in your head and give detailed information. I know I can. I can be like, it was a sunny day. This was this, because it was a certain time in your life that you don't forget, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. So Nicole is saying in that time, they put groceries away, they planted flowers, and they did laundry.
I didn't know the laundry part.
I've heard yes and no on that. I've heard yes and no. And you're right, Francine. I don't know what I was doing on June 15th. I don't know. I mean, I'd have to go back and look. But I would know everything that happened the day that a child of mine got out of my sight. I would know what they were on, what time we got up, everything that went on throughout the day. That would be ingrained in my memory.
That's what I said. Just in your own
leaving, I'm never going to get over. And I really would like Chris to interview her. I think that talking to Grandma would the story's going to be different, but that's okay. We're used to that. I really hope Grandma reaches out to him and he can talk to her, because I think she's going to have a lot to say.
Yeah, I think obviously I know he's probably been trying, but maybe let's just say, I'm just hypothetically, something happened and all three of them adults know, and she's one that she just had to leave, and she probably made her one statement and wants to keep her mouth shut from here on out, just because she's a little older and wiser and maybe knows I'm not going to say anything that would trip anybody up.
Exactly. Francine just said, I don't know that personally I would. I think everything would be a blur. Yeah, I mean, if you're that up, true. I mean, everyone's different. I can't imagine a child being missing and not having the correct information, or the information changing at all. That's all I'm saying. I just couldn't imagine, because you're not helping the authorities by not giving them the whole picture, everything.
And the blurry part, I would say, thinking in my own life, that comes in when the traumatic event happens. But what usually happens is the memory of the events before that, before your head starts spinning, you kind of remember that day pretty well. Not necessarily, it was exactly at 2:32, but, you have it's just ingrained in your head. For most people, not all. That's just been in my experience. But that blurriness, that's when, the shock and your adrenaline, and you start, panic mode, and everything starts spinning. So I kind of agree with that too.
Right. But that's why we discuss everything. Nobody's opinion is shamed or anything like that. Like my opinion is, I think that you would know everything that went on that day. It would be ingrained in your mind, and you would make sure the police had every little minute detail. But then, like Francine keeps saying, I would think everything would be a blur. I mean, I could see that too.
And I think both. I think it both, like I said, you remember up till, and then it becomes a blur when whatever the bad event happens, and, your head's spinning. I get like that when my kids were a little younger. I did not let them wander away from me in the store or the mall. They always had to be with me. And if I turned around and I didn't see one of them because they thought they were funny, sneaking off to another aisle, that's my head starts spinning in a panic. So I get that part for sure. So yeah. What was that comment? There was another comment you just had up there.
Oh, that was about Francine. I just addressed that.
Okay.
Snow, when Chris was at the house, I was kind of thinking that he would show the washer and dryer too, or talk about the proximity to the utility room, since she has brought up this I was doing laundry that day story too, or since she said she was doing laundry. Because if you got the washer and dryer, you got the washer going, mine's loud, okay? So I would kind of like to know in the house where it is, because like I said, my washer's loud. So if somebody was in the basement getting her, she possibly couldn't have heard.
Right. And did Candace say she was doing laundry?
That's what we're hearing now. That's the unaccounted for time. Laundry, planting flowers, and that stuff. So, it is what it is.
Well,
hang on. Oh, waitress says no, the washer and dryer was upstairs, a little past the basement stairs on the opposite wall. Oh, okay. I did not see a washer and dryer. Snow, do you see that? We'll have to go back and watch it again to see that.
Hey, Snow. I see her a lot.
Francine said it's in the swimming hole video.
Swimming. Okay, I'll have to go back and look.
Yeah, there's just so much information.
Right.
And it's like we've got pages and pages and pages and pages of notes, and there's always something that someone else picked up on, they caught, that we didn't catch, and so we have these discussions.
Right. And two, let's say in the end, it's that 1% crazy chance that this was a stranger. And let's say, Dawn is just one of them people. I'll be the first to say, I'm sorry that happened, but they're not parents of the year. Candace Candace needs help, and I do have compassion, and I do think that there's abuse going on. I do think there's control, and I think the DA got out of control, and she's just in a dark hole right now. I really do.
So you think Summer's still alive?
Who, me?
Yeah. You cut out for a minute, so I only caught part of
I'm
it. Will you say
sorry.
that again? No, you're fine.
No, I was saying I would apologize. I'll be the first to apologize if it is that 1% chance she was abducted. I don't think she, by a stranger. I don't think she was. But I was just saying, you know, I'll admit when I'm wrong, or if somebody brings up another point, I'll say, okay, I can see it that way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I haven't heard anybody on here. Well, we've had a few comments and stuff like that over the weeks, and we've had some guests saying, absolutely, they think it's this person, absolutely that person. It could be going off what the sheriff said.
Yeah. And
where's the evidence for an abduction? Well, I would think the TBI would have that down.
yeah, I don't, me personally, I don't see that. You know, there was too many obstacles in the way. And like I said, I live up on a heavily wooded ridge, and there's about 2 to 3 acres on this ridge. There's about 5 houses up here.
Mhm.
And all of us neighbors know each other very well, but I just don't go up on their property just because, you know, you just don't do that. So, and the dogs being there, and I just don't see the abduction.
It makes no sense to me because, like I said, when I saw the driveway, and you wouldn't even know it's. I mean, if I was going down the road, if I was going down the road, I wouldn't even realize that was someone's driveway. In all honesty, I would assume it's some kind of utility road, maybe, you know, another road going. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't assume it's a driveway. It's not marked. You know, it's not like there's a big sign that says, you know, welcome to the Wells house or anything like that. I wouldn't know what it is. So first of all, you got to get up that thing, get by the dogs, and then you saw what it goes, where her room is.
Right. And the street that comes up to my house, it's just heavy woods, and it's very steep. And the first time people come here, they, you know, I hear jokes like I started hearing banjo music, you know, and they feel like there's 100 eyes on them.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, yeah, because a car comes up here, we're looking, you know. So you just, like you said, you know, it's a gravel little road. Sometimes there's utility places that lead off these little roads. So I wouldn't turn down anything like that.
No, and like Nicole says, she believes someone took her down the dog trail. You know, like everybody has a theory, and then some people would go, ooh, but now that wouldn't make sense. But that's very possible. Uh-oh. So, guys, I'm going to start winding this down. I don't know if we're doing a show tomorrow or not, but just check the page, the Crime Lines and Lies page, or check our YouTube channel. We always put them on the community tab. If you guys could remember to sub the channel, you know, give this video a like, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever. And thank you guys for being here, for having a great discussion, great chat, you know, not disrespecting other people's ideas, theories, opinions. Thanks to everybody that modded today. Shannon, thanks for coming up.
No, thank you. You're welcome. Thanks, mods.
Yep, everyone have a great afternoon. More than likely, we'll be back on Monday or Tuesday. I doubt it will be tomorrow, but like I said, just check back to the page, subscribe, hit the bell so you'll get the notification, and we will see you soon. Have a great day.
Bye.